I'm Logan Crawford, and right now on Spotlight, we're taking a deep dive into the book called Considering the Journey, One Doctor's Perspective by Dr. Jeffrey T. Evans. It offers a unique insight into the doctoral journey, providing readers with a comprehensive understanding of what to expect before embarking upon the path to a doctorate or a PhD degree. We are delighted to have the doctor join us here today on Spotlight. We thank the folks at Bookside Press for helping us put him in the spotlight today. And we ask viewers like you to support writers like him by subscribing to our channel. Doctor, thank you so much for being our guest today on Spotlight.
Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate it.
We chatted a little bit before we started. You began your doctoral journey in 2009. And then by 2016, you took that walk across the stage and
Yes.
got that diploma or whatever exactly it is they hand you when you become a doctor. I don't know, but maybe one day, you never know.
Diploma.
A diploma.
Yeah.
What was that like for you? And why did you decide at an advanced time in your career to get that degree?
Well, to answer your first question, what it was like, it was a kind of a crazy ride because I had no clue what I was getting into. I just went and jumped into it. It was on a whim. I was trying to get my son motivated to go to school. I ended up motivating myself. And so I jumped into it without any research. The reason I did it was I worked in I was a director of public health at Naval Hospital Camp Pendleton at the time. And my background is in public health. So I didn't understand how hospitals operate. I didn't understand how hospitals made money, how patients were taken care of, things like that. And I was on the executive steering council. And during that time, there was a lot of other directors that discussed those things. And I really had no idea I shouldn't say I had no idea what they were talking about. I just didn't understand the things they were talking about. So I figured
to the depth or the full knowledge that you'd like to have, probably.
Right. So I understand because public health is a little bit different than you see in like primary care. Primary care is based on patients coming in. When in public health, our job is to protect people from getting sick, and the opposite. So you have curative medicine, and then you have preventive medicine. We're on the preventive side. So the thought patterns is completely different. So when I did the doctorate, I did it so I could understand the curative side of medicine, that I could understand what was going on. And again, it was just something. I had the GI Bill money left over, and I just wanted to challenge it and see if I can do it.
Cool. Very cool. And like I said, you did this at a later age. Like I said, you at the start of the show, you looked like a young guy, but you're retired now. So I assume you did this in your 50s or whatever. You decided to embark upon this.
I started on it. I think I was 52 when I started,
right?
And I retired. I mean, I finished when I was 59, and I swore I would never go back to school after I finished my master's. I finished a master's in '94. And I thought I was done with school. So, it was kind of like I said, it was a crazy adventure for me to do that.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's a lot of work. I got my master's degree, and I remember I got I forget what the carpal tunnel.
Carpal tunnel.
Writing my thesis. I didn't think carpal tunnel really existed. I think people of carpal tunnel are, complaining. There's nothing. And meanwhile, I was like, oh my God, my wrists. So I do feel your pain. So you went back after getting your master's thinking like, hey, I'm done. I'm not going to get anything after my master's, but you did get your PhD.
Right.
Was it a lot of writing? Was it a lot of research? Was it what does the course of study entail?
So you have two sections in the course. One is didactic, and that's a lot of reading, a lot of replying. I did it online. So you have to, what they call post, you have to post your responses to the reading, and everyone had to have at least 300 words. They expected 300, 400 words per response. And you had to do that 3 times a week. And you had to do at least 3 posts. So that was 9 total posts. So that's, 9 times 300. So that's, you're sitting up around 3,000, 4,000 words just in response per week. And that was an 8-week course. So you did that every night you did that 3 nights a week, 4 nights a week for about, for about 8 weeks, 7 weeks out of that. And then you have the dissertation phase. And the dissertation phase is that's the hard part. That's what you hear about the doctoral journey. You hear about I think they have a name for it. I can't think of it off the top of my head, but it's tough because you're researching, you're reading, you're researching, and they expect you to have 200, 300 references that you write your paper from. It's got to be a very strict structure, APA structure. And then you have a chair, and you have two committee members that review all your work. You do 5 chapters. The average length of a dissertation is probably 130 pages, and it's completely reviewed the whole way through all 5 chapters. Mm-hmm. And so there's nights when you get response from all 3 of your committee members, and all 3 of them are disagreeing with each other. So you're trying to figure out, okay, so what's the right answer here? You learn to rely on your chair. You go to your chair and say, okay, what do you think about this? And the chair will tell you, disregard that one. This one has merit, then you need to work on it. But it's a give and take, push and pull the whole way through. And that's the reason why it's a tough. That's the reason why they call it a journey, a doctoral journey.
Yeah, absolutely. So why did you decide to write this book about the journey itself?
A couple of reasons. One is I had people asking me, especially at my age and at the time people would ask me, what is it that what did you take into mind before you did this? And the honest answer is nothing. I did nothing. I didn't think about finances. I didn't think about my family. Not in a negative sense, but I didn't think of how it would impact my family, how it would impact my social life and things like that. And the doctoral journey it impacts everything. I'm an avid football fan. I don't know if you can see behind me. I have the Buffalo Bills behind me. I'm a big Bills fan. I didn't watch a football game for 3 years because I stayed in the books the whole time. I didn't have any social interaction for 3 years. So I had a good friend of mine who recently got her doctorate, actually, and she had 2 young kids at home. And I said, it's not a good idea to pursue a doctorate because it's going to be pulling on you, pulling on your family, things like that. Yeah. Long story short, I had done some reading, and I thought maybe I can do that. I went to a book fair one day at the University of Phoenix, and I saw authors of people that were just normal people writing about their experiences. And so it kind of motivated me. And to start it out, I was in a doctoral cohort group where I helped other doctoral candidates work on their dissertations. And I asked 2 other PhDs if they would they write the book with me? And they said, "Oh yeah, no problem, sure." So we sat down and I gave them a kind of an outline of what I expected. Well, long story short, they got busy doing other things in life, and I went ahead and wrote the book myself.
Right.
So I'm kind of glad I did it that way.
I'm sure you feel a great sense of satisfaction. I know going back and getting my master's, and I think I did it right around 52 also. I got my master's in 2004. It really does feel good learning as an adult, because as a child or a teen or a young adult, you don't appreciate it. It's just work. You want to get it out of the way. You just want to pass the test or whatever it is. But when you're our age, and you're studying, you're doing it for a reason. You really want to strengthen what's up here.
Right. Totally. Honestly. Yeah. You get more out of it too.
Absolutely. Because like I said, you're there to really learn. I think they call adults adult learners, and it's different than students because you approach it differently.
Right.
So this is a great book. It should really be mandatory reading for anyone who's considering getting a doctorate or any advanced degree, really, to realize the amount of work, the amount of dedication, and the amount of time it takes. Don't you think?
Yes, I totally agree. I'm hoping one day to get that book in everybody's hand that wants to do that too.
Exactly. Talk to me a little bit about the dissertation blues. What are those?
Oh, okay. I'm glad you brought that up because that was what I couldn't think of. The dissertation blues is that reoccurring corrections, coming back. They want you to correct something over and over and over and over again. And you're in uncharted territory to begin with. And one of the things I talk about in my book is not to be overconfident, because they're gonna beat your confidence out of you just because they can do that, and it's kind of the way it's supposed to be done. But to write it is let's see, I never thought in my wildest dream I would ever write one. First of all, when I finally finished it before I graduated, I almost dropped out of the course because I figured, well, I got 5 chapters here. I'm happy now. I don't care if anybody likes it or not. I'm done. But I went ahead and graduated. But it's a lot of work because you have to concentrate on each section. You can't. Literally, you have to concentrate on each sentence.
Right.
You do a problem statement, and your problem statement may go back and forth between you and your chair, 10 times before you get it right. coming up with your method that you want to use to write your dissertation, if it's quantitative or qualitative. That may go back and forth several times. Mine changed twice. And my dissertation subject came from a luncheon I had with my cousin and her husband. He suggested something to me that I was telling him about, and I bought his idea better than my idea, and I ran with it, and that's what I ended up writing my dissertation about. So you never really know where it's coming from. It may come from, you might be dreaming about it. Who knows? You might be on a bus ride somewhere, and all of a sudden something just comes into your head. Exactly. But the dissertation blues is true. It's very true, and that's part of what I wrote 2 books. In the first book, I don't put the dissertation process in it. In the second book, the one that was published in May of this year, it's got a green cover. It talks about the dissertation process. I thought that was pretty important to put that in there as well.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, the name of the book is Considering the Journey, One Doctor's Perspective by Dr. Jeffrey T. Evans. At 52 years old, he decided to get himself a doctorate. He wasn't sure what he was getting into. He got into a field of study that took about 7 years before he completed it. But he now, for the rest of his life, has the 2 important letters before his name, DR, doctor, and 3 important letters after his name, PhD. They were hard-earned and sought after and well worth the journey, I'd say. Right, Doc?
Oh, yeah. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Absolutely. Thanks so much for joining us here today, Jeffrey.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, Logan. I really appreciate it.
I appreciate it as well. And to the folks at home, I'm Logan Crawford, thanking you for your time this time. Until next time on Spotlight.